Are legal professionals just anti-technology?
Earlier, I said that lawyers exist to mitigate risk. And when you propose technology solutions on an active matter, some decision makers view that as risk. What I find the industry fails to do very often, it's a broad sweeping statement, is educating clients on what the technology does and how it can help them. If you walk into a conference room with a litigator and say, we're going to deploy TAR 2.0, there's going to be a lot of questions.
In relativity.
In relativity. The better approach is to outline the problem. And let's just say the problem is we've got 500,000 documents sitting that need to be addressed. We've got to confirm discoverability, identify privilege, and inform you and your team on the merits. And let's say we don't have enough time, or the amount in controversy doesn't support an investment in a linear review. We can start presenting technology-based solutions and educating them on how it works, involve them in the process, show them the output. And here's the key, such that they could go explain it and defend the process as proper, as reasonable, as adequate, and all of these other buzzwords that you need to do as you're practicing e-discovery. I don't think lawyers are anti-technology. The adoption rate is slower in legal for the reasons I stated than in other industries. But a big piece of this is education. And most folks in client-facing roles fail to recognize that there's a journey, there's a path, there's familiarity, maturity, and adoption. But a big piece of that is just educating clients on the fact these are battle-tested, proven tools. They're admissible in every jurisdiction.
Yeah.
The answer I always get, and I'll pass it to Vinny in a second, let's try it on the next one. I'm going to give you a tip. If you're concerned about trying a technology-based workflow on your litigation matter, please try it on your next internal investigation. We're not working towards a production event. You don't have to comply with a discovery order or obligations. You got to answer questions quickly.
Right.
As you start using these tools in that context, showing them how quickly you can get them in front of the facts without reviewing every document, and then explain what steps you took and involve them in the process, they're going to go, all right, I see it.
Yeah.
And then on that next litigation matter, we've got a lot of confidence.
Great suggestion, less perceived risk. Vinny, do you have anything to add there?
Man, I've had so many conversations with clients where I'm trying to convince them, right? Upsell. This was back when we used to charge for analytics, trying to upcharge, or upsell. But one method that I would go about is with the client is, Daniel's exactly right. It's education, but it's also being transparent with them to say, okay, hey, you don't want to do email threading on this case? That's fine. Is it okay if we run it in the background? Right? And use that for QC to say, hey, you tag this document as privileged, but also in the same thread later on, it's not privileged. That should totally be privileged, right? So that's one example. Another example is using active learning. I had a couple cases where I did this where the client actually agreed. They said, okay, run it in the background. We're going to do what we're going to do. And so they said, we're done coding. Great. I took their coding, ran it through active learning and said, find me all documents that you think is relevant that they haven't coded yet, or they coded as not relevant, and say, hey, client, take a look at these documents. And more often than not, they missed something, right? And so they became believers in that technology and started using it on every case. And I'll finish with this thing. I think the hesitation is the misconception that you're leaving documents on the table. That's simply not the case, right? We have a case right now where we have to review every single document, but we're utilizing active learning just to get the more important, more relevant documents up front. So I think that's a big thing, but being able to provide tangible results that they can look at is huge in terms of being able to convince them that this works.